now available as paperback and e-readers from the author of Spinsterella, A Strange and Unusual Romance, and Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black comes from Legendary Magazine. And you get the conclusion of the Spinsterella trilogy in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today. One of my viewers wanted me to talk about Carlee Russell. Now, Carlee Russell is a 25-year-old black woman from Alabama who disappeared for 48 hours after she claims she saw a toddler wandering on the interstate.
Police are casting doubt on a 25-year-old Alabama woman's claim that she was kidnapped from the side of an interstate. Carlee Russell's mother told the Today Show that her daughter was abducted and fought for her life, but investigators say they can't verify her claims. Fox 5 anchor Tom Haynes is at the live desk tonight. Tom, they released some of Russell's Google history.
Yeah, it's quite a bizarre story, Russ. Some of the things she did Google in terms of looking up on the internet was the Liam Neeson movie Taken, whether you have to actually pay to have an Amber Alert issued, and one-way bus tickets to Nashville. Now, Russell told detectives that she was taken by a man who came out of the trees when she stopped to check on a child on the interstate. Not only did her phone show some interesting searches, as we just mentioned, but it also showed that she traveled about 600 yards, all while telling a 911 operator that she was following a 3 or 4-year-old child in a diaper on the side of the highway.
And I do think it's highly unusual to the day that someone gets kidnapped, that 7 hours, 8 hours before that they're searching the internet, Googling the movie Taken about an abduction. I find that very strange, yes.
So police have tried to interview Russell again, but so far her family says that she is not ready to talk. So a lot of unanswered questions here. It's a case that captured the nation's attention, so we're going to be waiting to see what investigators learn in their follow-up interview with Carlee. Russ and Christine?
All very strange at this point. Tom, thanks very much.
Now, the Hoover police, in their police report, claim that the 25-year-old nursing student was driving on Interstate 459 when she saw a toddler wandering on the highway. And as Carlee Russell allegedly saw this toddler wandering on the highway, this is where she decided to allegedly pull over to a shoulder of the highway and called 911 to report this child wandering on the highway. And as she was looking to go out here and try to help this child who was allegedly wandering on the highway, this is where Carlee Russell claims that she was confronted by a man who had orange hair and a woman, and forced into a car. And the next thing she says is that she was in the back of an 18-wheeler, waking up from a state of unconsciousness. And in that 18-wheeler, she says she heard the voice of a female along with the male, but never saw the female, only hearing her voice. And she says that these individuals drove her to a home where she was confronted by a man and a woman. And as she was confronted by that man and woman, they told her to strip naked, and they took nude photos of her. Now, according to Carlee Russell, after she was made to take these nude photos, she then had to walk all the way back home, where she wound up meeting her parents 48 hours later. Now, this whole story really sounds very fishy to me because the details don't add up, and the police themselves have not been able to corroborate Carlee Russell's details because she claims that she went to a Target to buy some snacks. However, when the Hoover police found her vehicle on the shoulder of Interstate 459, they did not find any items from Target or any receipts. No, all they found was her wig, a cell phone, and some other items. So the details of Carlee Russell's story are not really lining up to substantiate her story. Now, when I take a look at all of the details of Carlee Russell's story, they really do not add up to the ring of truth. And when I look at the whole series of details that Carlee Russell claims happened to her, they really remind me of what Matilda Carlee was doing in my novel, The Legendary Mad Matilda. Now, in The Legendary Mad Matilda, the Matilda Carlee character was living a double life where she was being a clean-cut college student by day with a boyfriend, and by night she was Mad Matilda, the industrial goth raver. And as she was leading this double life, she was looking to go out here and have two worlds. Unfortunately, the two worlds wound up colliding when the Matilda Carlee character wound up in jail. Now, when I look at Carlee Russell, I see a similar pattern as related to her behavior, and her behavior basically proves a point that I talk about in one of my books, Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, that some women lie, and they lie all the time, and these little Miss Sneakies, what they do is go out here and concoct and contrive an elaborate story in order to go out here and cover up the ratchet behavior they're participating in. Now, what I believe happened here with Carlee Russell was that she wasn't abducted. No, what she wanted to do was find a way to cover up the cheating she was participating in with whatever dude she had gotten involved with over that 48 hours. And in order to find a way to go meet up with this dude, Carlee Russell, possibly because she was an inexperienced liar, went out here and decided to create this story about seeing a baby on a highway, a story that really doesn't add up if you've ever been in vehicles that are on highways or on roads. Now, here in places that, like down south, there are lots of highways, and those vehicles basically on those highways are going anywhere from 60 to 80 miles an hour, and it would be nigh impossible for anybody to see a baby on a highway going at that speed. Much less would an individual be able to stop to go to help that individual on the highway, because if you're driving in a vehicle that's going anywhere from 60 to 80 miles an hour, you wouldn't be able to go out here and stop because your vehicle's momentum would continue to be going so fast. Moreover, you'd have to try to keep up with the other vehicles on the highway. So that's where Carlee Russell's story starts to not add up right at the beginning. And as I listen to further details of her story, they further stop adding up, because she says that as she stopped to try to help this child as she was dialing 911, she was confronted by an individual with some colored hair, and as she was confronted by this individual and a woman, she was forced into a vehicle and then was knocked unconscious some way. But you would think if you were confronted by an individual and knocked unconscious, you would remember all of those details vividly to tell law enforcement as related to your story. You wouldn't just say, oh, it was a man with orange hair. You would remember how this individual knocked you out, whether it was chloroform or with physical force. Now, Carlee Russell says that she has a injury to her lip, but that doesn't really corroborate really with a person who's knocked you unconscious, moreover taken you and put you in the back of an 18-wheeler. Another detail that really doesn't add up, because an 18-wheeler is a vehicle, again, that is very large and would be easily recognizable in any Alabama neighborhood, and people would easily be able to recognize this vehicle, and they would be able to see that, oh, this seems out of place. You got an 18-wheeler in the back. And then you have Carlee Russell saying that she heard voices out of that vehicle when she woke up, and one of the voices was a female she could not describe. Now, according to Carlee Russell, she says she was confronted by a male and a female and put in the back of a car, but you can't tell me what the woman's hair color was in the back of the car, but you tell me you can't recognize the woman. Another key detail that really does not add up as related to her story. When I'm listening to Carlee Russell's story, it's not really having that ring of truth, and I just find it, what she's talking about, she says, oh, this person drove a 18-wheeler in city or neighborhood streets. Again, there would be red flags because people driving 18-wheelers in local areas, that's a huge vehicle and a big trailer at that. Usually truck drivers, if they're driving trailers like that, they have to be very careful because driving these vehicles in these areas, you can possibly get a ticket. Moreover, you could also have to deal with clearances over overpasses. So I'm looking at this story and it's not really adding up. But according to Carlee Russell, they put her in the back of this 18-wheeler all by herself in the trailer, and they drove it to a home where Carlee Russell was told to get out. And as she was told to get out of this vehicle, she was then brought to a home. And as she was brought to this home, she was told by a man and a woman to go out here and take off all her clothes so that they could go out here and take nude photos of her. And then as she was after having these nude photos taken of her, she then went and said that she managed to break away and escape and managed to walk all the way home. That really shows me that there's something really wrong with this story, because if you're in a home, again, you would think you would have called 911 and would have called, because you called 911 as related to this toddler, but you don't call 911 as related to this home, and you supposedly broke away, but then you say you walked all the way home. Again, this story ain't really adding up as related to the details, and it ain't really adding up to me. What it really sounds like to me is that Carlee Russell basically came up with an elaborate scheme similar to what happened in 1988 with Tawana Brawley. Now, if you grew up in the 80s like I did and lived in New York, you remember Tawana Brawley. And Tawana Brawley allegedly came up with a claim that she had been violated by some white cop and created a controversy with the Reverend Al Sharpton, Alton Maddox, and C. Vernon Mason to say that this was something that was done as related to this incident in upstate New York, but nothing could ever be corroborated or substantiated. And the same thing here with this Carlee Russell, who I really believe was just out here going behind her parents and her boyfriend's back. And because she couldn't come up with a story to go get with the guy she was getting with, she came up with this elaborate and really ridiculous story to say that all of this stuff happened when in actuality she possibly was over at some dude's house where she again dropped that skid mark thong and allowed this guy to go out here and get a taste of the atomic waste from the special place with his carbon rod as he was blowing the back out. And after he blew the back out for 2 days, this is where Carlee Russell decided to go out here and, after possibly watching the stories of her disappearance, went out here and decided to show that she was alive. And that's what I really believe what happened here with Carlee Russell. I believe Carlee Russell possibly was out here with a sneaky link or a side dude, and she didn't want her complete world disrupted. And because she did not want her world disrupted, what Carlee Russell did was go out here and concoct this whole plan as related to saying, oh, all of this stuff happened. But when you look at all of the details of her story, they just don't add up. And when you look at the Google searches that she made that the Secret Service found out, where she was searching about the movie Taken, searching about how to pay for an Amber Alert, and searching about things as related to getting about taking money from a register without getting caught, it's looking like she was looking to set it off and go out here and participate in a scheme where she was looking to go out here and do some ratchet stuff under the table. Now, when it comes to a lot of women, they will go out here and again put on a facade, and as they put on that facade of being good, they'll be out here doing a lot of dirt under the table. And they'll do dirt under the table for a very long time. And what will happen to a lot of folks is they'll think, oh, my daughter's a good girl, until they start to find out about all of the skeleton bones she's got buried in that graveyard that's hidden in her closet. And that's when the entire smooth world of that so-called good girl goes rough, because people find out the truth about her. And that's what I believe happened here with Carlee Russell. She was one of these clean-cut good girl nursing students who was living a quote-unquote clean life on the outside, but was having a whole bunch of skeleton bones on the inside. And as she had and what she wanted to do was keep people from finding out about her skeleton bones, but subconsciously wound up telling on herself, like most women do, because what most women do when they go out here and they subconsciously, again, they tell on themselves, and they reveal that they're out here participating in the same ratchet stuff that all of these hood rats and ghetto chicks do out in the open. And that's what a lot of quote-unquote good girls like to do. They like to go out here and they like to make it look like they're good on the outside, but they out here, again, creeping and sneaking on secretly. And as they're creeping out here secretly and going out here and hooking up with dudes, you don't know that this chick has been out here getting her back blown out by another dude. You're thinking, oh, I got a clean virgin woman who's possibly wife material, until until she goes out here and just blows her own cover by just participating in a lie so elaborate that it just isn't true, or something else happens to blow the cover off of her secrets, like what happened to Matilda Crowley in my book, The Legendary Mad Matilda. And that's when many of these women wind up getting embarrassed, and they get embarrassed because the truth gets told about them, and the truth gets told about them. People find out, oh, this good girl ain't as good as she says she is. No, she's out here doing some dirt, and she's doing dirt, and this is showing me that she can't be trusted. That's what happens in many cases with women like this, and that's what I believe happened here as related to Carlee Russell. I believe what happened here with Carlee Russell basically was she had herself a side dude or a sneaky link. She wanted to go out here and get with this dude undercover, and she didn't really know how to lie, and she possibly had a tight routine schedule. And because she had a tight routine schedule, people were going to know that something was going to be suspect. And because people was going to know something was going to be suspect, because if she wasn't at her parents' house or her boyfriend's house, both of them were going to start raising red flags. And as they raised red flags, they would have possibly found out about the side dude. And that's when she came up with this whole scheme about trying to create this whole situation as related to getting attention, as related to this so-called kidnapping, which I believe never happened. No, I believe, again, what happened here was she basically met up with this dude on the highway as they pulled over to the shoulder, then got in his car, went to his house. She went out here and dropped down the skid mark jockey thong panties, and he went out here, whipped out the carbon rod, and went out here and wound up stroking and pumping, and did that for 48 hours. And then after going out here and getting his taste of the atomic waste from the special place, he sent her back to her family, where she's doing the walk of shame in disgrace. And she's now having to deal with this investigation where the police are really looking at her story and poking all the holes in it. And after they poke the holes all in it, I believe what's going to happen to your Carlee Russell is she's going to wind up being arrested on charges for going out here and making all these false claims. And that's a lot to do in order to get some secret vitamin D. I mean, it would have just been better if she had just been honest, as I see it, and gotten her vitamin D on the side, and just came out and just broke up with her boyfriend and said, look, I just want to go get me some vitamin D from this other dude, and you're just not providing me with enough vitamin D, so I'm going to go over here and get this vitamin D on the side. And you may think that she's a 304, but that's the kind of behavior that, again, these little Miss Sneakies go out here and participate in. They go out here and participate in this, again, sneaky behavior. And again, a lot of people are thinking, oh, that there's something wrong here as related to her story, and there is something wrong with her story. And again, but this is the textbook example of the kind of lies women tell. And if you know women and you've been around women, the little Miss Sneakies, again, they'll come up with big elaborate schemes like this to cover up their lies. And that's what's happening here with this Carlee Russell. She's just coming up with a big lie. Now, some people would say that she's possibly mentally ill, but I don't believe that she's mentally ill at all. While her story is erratic the way a mentally ill individual would go out here and tell that kind of story, I just think that she's one of these rookies as related to being Little Miss Sneaky. And what's happening here is that Little Miss Sneaky thought she could just sneak and creep and thought a elaborate story would cover up her sneaking and her creeping. But the whole thing is, the facts of the story show that she's out here being a sneaking and creeping, and again, going out here having a little dude on the side. And the whole thing is, I listened to her story, and it just shows me that this was not an abduction. No, this was just a chick caught up in trying to go get that vitamin D that she really wanted, and didn't want people thinking that she was a 304. So what she wanted to do in order to try to preserve her reputation was go out here and say, oh, I'm going out here, this stuff happened as related to this elaborate kidnapping. But I don't think that anybody would go this far to go out here and get some nude photos of a woman. No, I don't believe anybody would go this far to committing federal felonies to get nude photos of a woman. No, when there's lots of art models in many of these areas, people can get for under maybe $200-300 and get all the photos that they want. They can go out here and recruit a model. No, what I believe was that possibly Carlee Russell was out here again with this side dude, and possibly he was snapping a few photos of Carlee Russell buck naked, and she possibly looking to incorporate all of that into her story. And that's what I believe happened with Carlee Russell. When I listened to her story, it really mirrors that of Tawana Brawley back in the 80s, where they make up these elaborate stories as related to some sort of crime happening, when in actuality the woman making up the crime possibly was the perpetrator of that crime. And the crime that she had was looking to go out here and creep with a dude and trying to get around strict parents and a boyfriend. Again, this is the type of sneaky behavior that girls participate in when they're teenagers, because I've seen lots of girls talk about all the lying and sneaking they would do when I was on the train, when I was going to Park West and coming back from Park West and sitting at the lunch table. And even when I was at work, I would hear women talking about all the stuff that they do. So a lot of guys out here go around believing, oh, my girl is a good woman, my girl is a good lady, and they don't know that some of these girls, what they do is they put up a facade of being a good girl, but be out here doing a lot of bad, going out here participating in a lot of ratchet behavior undercover, and going out here hooking up with dudes, going out here going to different places, saying that they have to work overtime, when what's happening is a dude is working them over in a hotel, getting them in the doggy style, getting them in the pile driver, getting them in the 69, going out here blowing that back out in that hotel. And the boyfriend or the husband, he don't know what his lady is doing. He don't know his lady is out here going out here putting some skeleton bones in the graveyard. They don't know what their lady is doing. And that's basically what I believe happened here with Carlee Russell. Carlee Russell was running ratchet, and the whole thing is her ratchetness is about to catch up with her, because once the police and the Secret Service and the FBI start comparing notes and get her in an interview room, that's when they're going to find out that possibly all of this was all done to cover up Little Miss Sneaky's encounter with a side dude for 2 days. Now, if you want to learn more about Little Miss Sneaky, you can pick up my book, The Legendary Mad Matilda, which details what happens when sneaky chicks go out here and start sneaking behind their parents' backs, and eventually the consequences of getting caught. And if you want to learn more about how to avoid possible predatory women like Carlee Russell, you can pick up my book, Stop Simping: Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance. And if you want to learn why women like Carlee Russell eventually wind up becoming single after all of their ratchetness, you can pick up my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. All of these books are available on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. They are also available at other online booksellers like Barnes & Noble, Smashwords, the iBookstore, Google Play, Walmart, and Target. And if you want to see me make another video like this, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, My Sister, My Frenemy. It's a sister act as the goddess next door and the devilish diva team up in this action-packed Isis series adventure. Get Isis, My Sister, My Frenemy in paperback and e-readers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.